Hello students, in this video I am going to teach you a well-known poem composed by William Wordsworth, and the name of the poem is Daffodils. Daffodils is really an exquisite nature lyric composed by William Wordsworth, and this poem is very remarkable poem. Why it is called remarkable poem? Because it is based on the definition of poetry given by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth has said that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of the powerful feelings. It takes its origin from the emotions recollected in tranquility. As far as this poem Daffodils is concerned, it is based on the same principle. It is based on the same definition given by William Wordsworth. This poem also proves that William Wordsworth is a great magician who can convert ordinary things into extraordinary things with the help of his poetic talent. Daffodils, you know very well. Daffodils are the flowers. They are of golden color. And this poem is based on the beauty, on the charming sight of daffodils. So let us start. Wordsworth says, I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. Wordsworth says that once he was wandering alone just like a cloud. The very first line, it has simile figure of speech, because Wordsworth has compared himself with a cloud. So Wordsworth says that once he was wandering alone just like a cloud. This very first line has some controversy, because in some books it has been mentioned that William Wordsworth, he was not alone. He was in the company of his sister Dorothy. But why he says that he was alone, he was lonely? He felt lonely. He was in the company of Dorothy, but he felt lonely and he was wandering just like a cloud. As a cloud can be seen floating, moving over the vales and hills. Vales, this is the word of Old English. Vales means valley. So as the cloud can be seen moving, floating over the valleys and hills without any purpose, similarly Wordsworth, he was also wandering alone without any purpose, just like a cloud. As he was wandering, suddenly he saw the crowd of golden daffodils. He saw many golden daffodils. He saw golden daffodils beside the lake, beneath the trees. So Wordsworth further says, when all at once I saw a crowd, while wandering alone, suddenly he saw a crowd. This crowd indicates the group of daffodils, the crowd of daffodils, a host of golden daffodils. The color of the daffodils was golden. So while wandering alone just like a cloud, Wordsworth saw a host, a crowd of golden daffodils. Where these daffodils were present, he further says, beside the lake, they had grown beside the lake. They were present under the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. And whenever the wind blew, these daffodils appeared dancing, fluttering. All the daffodils appeared to Wordsworth in a happy mood. Wordsworth further says, continuous as the stars that shine. You know that when you see the stars in the sky, you will find that stars are stretching in never-ending line. Similarly, these daffodils which William Wordsworth saw, they were also stretching never-ending line. They were stretching continuously just like a star. And twinkle on the Milky Way. As the stars they twinkle in the Milky Way, similarly these daffodils were also appearing to be twinkling just like the stars. They stretched in never-ending line. Just I have told you that the flowers of daffodils, they were stretching in never-ending line. There was no end of daffodils. Wherever he saw, he found daffodils everywhere. Along the margin of a way, margin means water, he saw these daffodils beside along the water of a way. 10,000 saw I at a glance. Wordsworth says that in one glance he saw 10,000 daffodils. This line has also one more figure of speech, that is hyperbole. Tossing their heads in a sprightly dance. These daffodils, they were nodding their heads. Sprightly means lively and gay. They all appeared lively, they all appeared very happy and gay, and they all were dancing in the wind that was blowing. They appeared in a very happy mood. Wordsworth further says, the babes beside them danced. As the daffodils were dancing, so the babes of the lake were also dancing. You know that when a person goes and joins the happy company, he also becomes happy. Similarly, all the daffodils were very much happy. So the babes of the lake, they also appeared dancing to Wordsworth, because the babes were also happy in the happy company of daffodils. But they outdid the sparkling babes in glee. But the daffodils, they were brighter, they were more happy than the happiness of the babes of the lake. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. William Wordsworth, he also could not resist himself, and he also became happy in such a happy company of daffodils. I gazed and gazed, but little thought. Wordsworth, he kept on watching these daffodils. He never thought what gift, what pleasure, what thing these daffodils had given to him. What wealth the show to me had brought. Wordsworth did not realize at that time which type of wealth these daffodils had given to him. What type of wealth these daffodils gave to Wordsworth? Actually, these daffodils got settled into the mind of William Wordsworth. In the concluding stanza, Wordsworth tells us the effect of this beautiful sight. These beautiful daffodils, they gave happiness and pleasure to Wordsworth when he saw them. And later on, these daffodils, they became a source of continuous pleasure for the poet, which the poet tells us in the last stanza, in the concluding stanza. Wordsworth in the last stanza says, "For oft when on my couch I lie." Wordsworth says that whenever he is free, he lies down on his bed in vacant or in pensive mood, when there is no thought in his mind, when he is in somewhat serious mood, they flash upon that inward eye. Suddenly, those daffodils which Wordsworth saw while wandering just like a cloud, suddenly those daffodils flash, they appear inward eye before the eye of his mind, in his imagination, which is the bliss of solitude. And the re-emergence of these daffodils, it gives a great pleasure to Wordsworth, and his solitude, his loneliness subside. And when these daffodils appear before the eyes of the mind of William Wordsworth, he becomes very much happy, and he becomes so much happy, his heart is filled with pleasure so much that he also starts dancing with these dancing daffodils. So in this way, William Wordsworth, he tells us the effect of these daffodils. He tries to tell us that nature always gives us pleasure, and it not only gives us instant pleasure, but it becomes a source of continuous pleasure. Those flowers of daffodils which Wordsworth saw while wandering lonely just like a cloud, they always give pleasure to poet whenever the poet is in sad mood, whenever the poet is in pensive mood. So in this way, William Wordsworth, he tells us the importance of daffodils, and he also tries to tell us that even the small thing of nature, just as flower, can become a great source of pleasure for the poet. Students, I hope you must have understood this poem properly.